What on earth made Walt so furious that he literally beat an iron box until it was completely wrecked? It turned out that just one day ago, Walt wanted to monopolize the supply of crystal meth in the city. So he and Jesse recruited a large number of subordinates. Unexpectedly, one of their underlings was clumsy and was caught red-handed by the police. In order to get the guy out, Walt and Jesse found Saul Goodman, the most famous lawyer in the area, who was known for his sharp tongue. Saul had also heard about this case. It was said that the police and the Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, had carried out a joint operation. There was only one way to get the guy out, which was to make Skinny Pete implicate the big drug lord behind the scenes, Heisenberg, so as to atone for his crime by. When Walt heard this, he was stunned on the spot because Heisenberg was his alias in the criminal world. This method was definitely not feasible. He asked Saul if there were any other ways, but Saul turned around and left. It was obvious that Saul didn't want to get involved in this case. Walt had no choice but to use unconventional means to discuss the case with Saul. That night, just as Saul was about to get off work and leave, the two of them covered his head from behind and took him to the suburbs. Looking at the freshly dug pit that was just big enough to fit a person, Saul was so scared that he wet his pants on the spot. Walt gave him two options. One was to take the money and defend Skinny Pete, and the other was to be sent to his grave. Only then did Saul realize that Walt was the person he had rejected during the day. In order to save his life, Saul said that he would do his best, and he even asked the two of them to give him a symbolic $1 bill, which was his principle as a lawyer. The next day, the lawyer went to the police station to clear Skinny Pete of the charges. He assured the police that he would make Skinny Pete implicate the mastermind behind the scenes, Heisenberg, but on the condition that Skinny Pete be released without charge. Hank naturally wouldn't make things difficult for a small fry if he could catch the big fish. After coming back, Saul, relying on his connections, found a scapegoat who looked very much like Walt. This person had been serving prison sentences for others all year round. As long as the price was right, he didn't care even if he had to spend the rest of his life in prison. And Walt, at this moment, didn't lack money at all. He left everything to Saul to handle. Next, a good show officially began. The police released Skinny Pete and asked him to contact Heisenberg to come for a meeting. Since Saul hadn't given him a photo of the scapegoat, Skinny Pete mistakenly thought that the old man in front of him was the one pretending to be Heisenberg. Skinny Pete kept sending him secret signals, but the other person remained indifferent. After a while, the scapegoat finally showed up. Walt and Jesse, who were hiding not far away, saw that the plan was about to fail. Walt had a sudden inspiration. He asked Jesse to get out of the car and remind them, while he drove his car in front of Hank's car, to say hello. It seemed like he just happened to pass by, but there was more to it than met the eye. No matter how they tried to get him to leave, Walt played dumb, which also gave Jesse enough time to remind Skinny Pete. When Walt left, the police just happened to see the scene of Skinny Pete and the scapegoat making a deal. The next moment, the sound of police sirens filled the air. The scapegoat knew exactly what to do and immediately got down on his knees with his hands on his head. Professional matters should be left to professionals. A crisis was thus resolved. Without external interference, Walt and Jesse could carry out their monopoly plan again.